Today's video is brought to us by the generosity of Firearms Legal Protection. Firearms Legal Protection is a legal defense program for lawful gun owners. You win the fight, and they will help you win the fight after the fight for the rest of your life. There's a link in the description for a coupon code for a discount for all active self-protection watchers. Once again, we are talking about the legal aspects of self-defense with Terry Johnson from Firearms Legal Protection. I want you guys to appreciate what Firearms Legal Protection does here. I mean, attorneys charge hundreds of dollars an hour to give advice, and FLP, as part of their sponsorship of active self-protection, is committed to doing this free education. So Terry, I just want to say again how much I appreciate you doing this for everybody.
Thank you. We appreciate you allowing us to get the word out to your folks and hoping that people get lots of knowledge and, more importantly, they learn to stay safe.
Call to action for you guys: if you do not have coverage for illegal use of force, for defensive use of force, can't tell you enough, hit the link in the description. Discount for active self-protection watchers and subscribers, and you get excellent coverage at the best rates around, and you get good people. So here's the cool part: when you make that phone call, you get an attorney.
An attorney answers the
talking
phone
to you right now, and there's a chance that could be you, in fact, depending.
Occasionally I do back up sometimes, yes. So if you hear the voice, yes, someone has asked me to stand in for him that day, so yes.
Okay, so video that we're talking about recently on the main channel out of China. So we're not going to talk about Chinese law, but if you did see the update there that I pinned as a top comment on that one, it was determined a justified use of force. So going back to what happened there, guys had a road rage altercation. Road rage is stupid, and turned into a physical conflict. Guy goes back to his car, grabs a machete. Comes out, hits the victim with it a couple times. Then they end up in a fight over the machete.
Right.
Victim gets the machete, gives him a couple of stabs to the body. Dude runs back towards his car. Victim pursues him to the car, gives him a couple more. Guy runs off. Victim ended up staying there for the police.
Right.
And was determined in China to be a justified use of force, which I was kind of surprised at, honestly.
Chinese finally got something right.
Finally got something there. But let's talk about that in the sense of the United States. So where is that line legally between protecting myself and becoming an aggressor?
So think of it this way, you know, protecting myself, someone comes in, I take 3 shots, I stop the threat. Person's on the ground, they're breathing. Do I walk over to them and say, guess what? I'm really pissed off at you. Boom, 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 another 3 shots. That's well over the line. We can all agree to that.
Sure.
In this video, it appeared to me, and I'm going to say the victim, the gentleman that was not in the car.
Right, on the bike, yeah.
The gentleman that was on the bike, basically, again, a little bit of road rage. First thing I'd say is walk away from that, okay?
Don't defend your ego.
It's not worth it. If one of the 2 of them would have walked away, both people would still be alive today,
right.
Okay? But even getting past that, someone comes at you, it's a physical altercation. Once they leave that altercation, and if you look at that gentleman, he storms back to his car.
He does. He's not going back there to get a bouquet of flowers to say I'm sorry.
No, he's storming back, and that shows me there's intent to do something. I didn't glean from what he said, for what he did, as far as he was going to drive away.
Right.
It's like, okay, he's going to get something. Now, here's the key to this. You ask, how would this work in the United States? It would depend on where you are, okay? So if you're in a state like Maryland, which is a duty to retreat state, first thing you've got to do once this gentleman comes out with this machete, you've got to get out of there.
Yeah, you got to try, if
Yes.
you have a safe avenue,
Correct.
to get out of there, to retreat.
And if this gentleman in China did not try, then he would have some legal ramifications there. Thank God we have stand your ground states,
Right.
You know, like here in Arizona, Florida, a few others. The good thing about a stand your ground state is most states, yes, a vast majority of states. I want to say approximately 42 states have a stand your ground type of statute. The good thing about it is the gentleman on the bike didn't have to go anywhere. He can stand there and defend himself because he was doing nothing wrong.
Now, we might say, from a tactical perspective, every trainer responsibility that I know says, from a tactical perspective, forget stand your ground. Look, if you can stay away from a guy who's got a machete
Absolutely.
and you don't have to have the fight, get the heck out of there. When you see him storming back to his car, get on your bike and roll, man. Like, forget that noise. But from a legal perspective, when we're talking about is this conduct justified in the eyes of the law, he doesn't have to go anywhere if you're in a state like Arizona.
Well,
Like most
absolutely, and as my father used to say, you could be dead right, but at the end of the day, you're still
You're
dead.
still dead.
Yeah, so you want to keep those things in mind. But as this guy came at the biker with the machete, here's the thing: there's a fight going on. What was the biker supposed to do at that point?
Fight for his
himself.
life. Yeah, I mean,
Right. So, in my eyes, again, he's justified as well. Like I said, I think the Chinese got it right because he's defending himself.
clearly when they fight over the machete, he gets that machete in the moment. It's still our tool because we're at contact distance. He uses it to end that threat. Okay. But now dude gets up and starts going back to his car.
Correct.
So now there was where the question was in China, and I think the question would be in many places because he pursued him.
So here's a couple things to think about. First of all, let's look at the tool that was used, and let's kind of change it up a little. Since it's a machete, would it make a difference if it was a machete versus, let's say, a .357 Magnum?
It would seem that the range of the gun is much longer, so I can effectively defend myself from a lot longer.
Okay. In this particular case, the way I view it is with that machete, I don't know what that guy is going back to the car to get.
Aha.
Because do I have the most powerful tool to defend myself from a distance?
No.
And the answer is no.
No, because machete's short range.
Exactly. So if he's going back to get something else, because unless the guy, because there's no audio here, but unless the guy is saying, I'm going to go get my gun,
Right.
or something different, like, you know what, I'm going to go get this bouquet of flowers for you. My assumption is he's going back to do something, to get something stronger and more powerful. And the reason I would think that is he's already done it once.
He's committed aggravated assault to the beginning.
Right.
So here's an interesting thing, because what I heard you say, Terry, is it depends on articulation. How
Yes.
do I describe this? What was my mindset as he was running back towards the car?
Correct.
Is my mindset then to say, oh, you're not getting away from me, sucker, I'm going to give you a few more? Or is my mindset, no, I was in fear that he would go back and get a more potent tool or get in a car, run me over with it.
Which is a weapon.
Which is a weapon.
Yeah.
So that seems to me to be a great reminder that I want to be very cautious how I articulate what I did, which is a great reason to maybe not say much until your attorney's present.
Well, and here's the thing, again, we've had this conversation many times. You're not in the mindset. You've just been attacked.
Yeah.
You've just potentially killed someone if he didn't know the person was dead at that point. You've gone through this. That's not the time to speak. That's the time to shut up for all practical purposes. That's the time to get a hold of your attorney, have someone speak on your behalf, because again, anything you say there, may or may not be the right thing. You don't know what's going to be said.
And having some time to process, having some time for your attorney to work through this stuff with you in confidence and to say, okay, did you do a good thing? Now, that's not to make something you did that was evil good.
Correct.
That's not to polish a turd. But it's to say, okay, you did good things. Why did you do that? Here's how we can articulate that makes sure that we don't get in any legal trouble. Because, it's
Right.
pretty reasonable to say he's going back there to get bad things, and so I kept going after him so he didn't get back in his car and do more bad things. That will still be the case tomorrow when you articulate it versus in the moment.
And think about how you just said it. I thought he was going back to do bad things.
Mm-hmm.
In the heat of the moment, with all this adrenaline flowing through you, you may say, I had to kill him before he did something else. And it's not your job to kill. It's your job to stop the threat.
Yes.
So something as simple as that can get you into a lot of trouble.
So, at the end of the day, the Chinese government said this was justified conduct. I think in, most places in the United States would come to the same conclusion.
I would
Clearly
agree.
here, he did the right thing in the right way. But the way that you articulate that matters. So make sure that you're on the phone with your attorney. Make sure that you recognize the right to remain silent. Okay, you have that right, but you have to positively articulate that right, or they'll keep after you, right? And that's not, again, I'm pro law enforcement. I'm not saying cops are bad people, but when it's time to articulate, I want counsel present. And no questions answered without counsel present. I need to speak to my attorney. Done.
And as much as you think things are, no pun intended here, clear cut, okay, they're not. Because again, one wrong word, one wrong syllable can really put you in jeopardy. And, you know, we've had some people on previous videos ask questions about, you know, like you said, we're not anti-law enforcement.
No.
But everyone has a job to do.
Yep.
And, you know, the judge has a job to do, the police have a job to do, the paramedics have jobs to do, the lawyers have jobs to do. Let those people do their job. Your job is to remain silent and let your attorney take care of you.
Big example that I always say on this with articulation is, see, badge cams today are a big thing, and I think they're a good thing.
Yes.
After an officer-involved shooting, sergeant shows up on scene. What does the sergeant do? Sergeant says, shut your camera off, go sit in your cruiser, don't say a word, union rep will be here in a minute.
Correct.
Why do they say that? Don't want you to say anything stupid that gets you or the rest of us in trouble.
Correct.
It's good for them, it's good for me.
Exactly.
So do that, right? Do that. Okay, Cherry, thank you so much for the knowledge. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.